Alrighty. Hello and good evening to you. This is going to be video 740. It is March 22nd, 2021. It's about a couple minutes shy of 9 o'clock. And as I was eating dinner and watching the news, I had kind of a little crazy thought kind of come into my head or out of my head. And so this is definitely going to be a crackpot. Not even a half-baked idea. This is going to be maybe a quarter-baked idea. And it's kind of a question. So, as you know, over the past almost 60 days, ever since President Biden came out and said that, it'd be nice if we all were just treat everybody with respect and, mutual equality, everyone and whatnot. People got crazy and they started passing all these anti-trans gender legislation. And under the guise of protecting girls' sports. And, I kind of, the more I thought about it, I was like, well, tonight I was like, is there something special about sports, girls' sports? Um, why not protect ballet, ballerinas? Why isn't there a group of parents upset that a trans girl is going to be the Sugar Plum Fairy in the Nutcracker, and is going to prevent their daughter from being the Sugar Plum Fairy? You know, dance is okay. My friend Don posted something about apparently in Nevada, Miss Nevada, over the last couple of days, they had their beauty pageant, and turns out Miss Nevada is a trans woman. And Don said something like, "Oh, great! Now they're going to ban trans women from beauty pageants because we're taking away from, cis women," when in reality, the Miss USA pageant this last year banned trans women after they had, it might have been two trans women win Miss USA, which is a whole other video for a whole other time. But my question is, what is it about sports? And is there something intrinsic about sports that makes it, that's where we draw the line. It's okay. Like I said, ballet was a little far fetched, but I was just trying to think of something that would be men and women, boys and girls together, and obviously maybe a different costume. Like I said, a ballerina. You think of a tutu and everything, but other occupations or other hobbies or sports. And I use the analogy of my daughter. She wanted to join her school's robotics club, and nobody thought anything of a girl joining the boys in the robotics club, that she was going to somehow steal away a scholarship to MIT that one of the boys maybe would have gotten, or girls joining the math club, and the mathletes. I can't think of a name. It ends with a theta, phi alpha theta, I think, is the math honor society in school. They would turn away girls because girls are smarter, they're better at math, because they might steal away a scholarship. So what is it about? Is there anything? This is the question. Here we go. Is there anything about sports? Why is it sports? Why does sports, out of everything, why is it sports? And my gut reaction to that is that, well, because there's sort of this mental image that a trans woman, a young trans girl, who has recently come to terms with it and they've decided to transition at that age. And so, in that initial, and we've all had it, that initial like first week, You're on cloud nine because you finally have come to terms with who and what you are. And for the truth be told, in practice, it takes years and decades of therapy to do that. And that's what's so amazing about these kids, these young adults who have been able to identify and come out, and they have parents who are not going to electroshock them, trying to cure them, all the bullshit that we grew up, if you're a little older like me. So here you have, again, this idea of, physically, like my muscles, I'm just decided I'm trans and I'm into soccer or I'm into track and I want to join the girls' track. And maybe I haven't, I'm on some sort of androgen or something, so I'm not going to further go through puberty, but maybe I already have a couple years of puberty under my belt. So, here I am. I'm the hypothetical athlete, hypothetical, what I think has been presented as the fear. Strong, young, very nice, developed lung system, lots of oxygen I can get in my lungs, and I'm going to be a sprinter, and I'm just going to be awesome. That's kind of the fear, is that this hypothetical person is going to prevent other athletes from winning the race. That is the fear that we have been led. But is there something about sports? And obviously we already talked about this. Why is it sports? And we said, okay, the fear is, again, the super mega athlete that's going to be just one step ahead because they're not taking estrogen. We know scientifically, the studies that have been done, if you do take estrogen, the other spironolactone and everything else, you lose about 12% of your efficiency and whatnot, athletic-wise. The studies that have been done, you lose about 12%. And the difference between male athlete, cis male, and cis woman is about 11.5%. So it's right on target. If you're a trans athlete, trans woman, trans girl, and you're taking the hormones and whatnot, you are going to lose whatever advantage, muscles and everything else, if you were doing it at that time. But then I got to thinking about sports and girls' sports. If that is the start of it, what's the outcome? If some parent or legislature, and obviously we know there's some sort of muckraking and xenophobia and everything going on, they're just using this as an excuse to push their agenda, okay, of hatred and fear of the other, thinking that there is normal and you are not normal like me, and I'm going to get other people to vote for me because we're normal and you're not, okay, blah, 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 blah. But if that is like, my daughter in middle school, how many kids continue along that path into high school and become athletes, going to go to college, going to get a scholarship. I'm a girl athlete, cis girl athlete, started in middle school, went to high school, got a scholarship in college. And now I'm part of state. I'm on the state team for, University of the State. That's the outcome. And then what happens after that? Say I'm a basketball player instead of a track person. I'm going to join the WNBA, right? And my male counterpart is going to join the NBA. And it's come to light recently, the disparity between an award-winning athlete. It was LeBron James and somebody else. And the fact that I don't know her name should tell you there's a difference. Okay, I know who LeBron James is, and I'm not a sports fan. But why don't I know her name? Okay, and that's the disparity. that we're going to talk about here in a minute. And we just, tonight on PBS, they had a full article about the NCAA tournament. Okay. March Madness basketball. And the disparity when the women athletes arrived, I believe it's in San Antonio or Arizona. I'm sorry, I'm not big a sport fan. But where they arrived, where they were going to have the tournament, okay, the competition or the playoffs or whatever leading up to it, there was a girl who posted a video on TikTok. She's one of the girls on a basketball team, and she showed the women's locker or weight room where they go and train and whatever, which is smaller than my room here. Okay, I live in a 12 by 10-foot room. Okay, the women's weight room for the whole tournament was about as big as this room, and it had dummy free weights. I've got them over there. I'm not going to get up and get over, but that's what they had. I'm going to use my hourglass. Okay, they had a set of weights, about 12 weights, dumbbells. That was the women's workout room, exercise room, weight room. Then she went and showed the boys. The men's weight room was humongous, easily 12 times the size of this room. And it had weight machines, it had rep machines, free weights, all sorts of equipment like you would expect in a gym. Okay. And the disparity between men and women, boys and girls. Okay. And then it went on to say that the NCAA made it a point that March Madness, which I have heard of, and I imagine you have too, specifically can only, in their contract, in the little fine print, only applies to the boys tournament. There will not be a March Madness for the women's side. Okay, so all of the hoopla, you go to the grocery store and your Coca-Cola, your Coke cans are in a display with a basketball hoop and everything else. March Madness. That's only for the boys, not for the girls. So you have this disparity. They're not equivalent. And in a bigger picture, we know, the governments that looks at what women are paid and men are paid, they're paid very differently. So, please, I'm not a Pollyanna. I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, women and men are treated differently. But we're talking about sports, and back to this idea of sports. And what is it about sports that the trans girls, that's the problem? And here's my half-baked idea, which maybe be an eighth baked. It may not be baked at all. This is raw cookie dough. But I'm wondering if, in reality, and who am I to judge what reality is, okay? The average American does not care about women in sports, okay? Your professional hockey team, the NHL, is guys. The NBA is guys. The PGA is guys. Your NASCAR drivers, most of them, I know occasionally you get a woman driver, and that's awesome. But this idea of sports and professional sports, I'm an athlete with talent. I'm a woman, and I'm good in middle school. I'm good in high school. I'm good in college. But then there's nothing for me to go on to. Yes, there is a WNBA. Other countries have sports teams like basketball, and you can go play for Italy or Japan or something. Spain. I've seen women basketball players go play in other countries, and it's good. But in America, it is not the same. It is not the same. It is the same game, right? The rules are the same, and this is my own ignorance. I don't think they lower the nets. I don't think they. My only, unfortunately, my history is with the Air Force, and on PT days, the requirements for men were a little different for women. Not as many pull-ups, but I assume, a set of rules. The like the baseball field is so many feet, by so many feet. Your goalposts are so high off the ground. That stuff doesn't change, I assume. So, is there somewhat of a myth about girls' athletics? You know, in the end of it, the professional side of it, the last stage of that development. If you had a career, you play ball for a couple, you're a guy, play ball for a couple years. I mean, you didn't even have to be an exceptional physical specimen, and you can play baseball. You know, um, if you're really good at hitting it, or you're really good at stealing a base, or you're really good at running, or you're really good at throwing, you don't have to be this Olympic champion. Okay, and you play for a couple years and you retire. You retire from pro ball, whatever it is. Football, basketball, okay, baseball. There is not that for women. You know, you could say somewhat in tennis. Like Billie Jean King, I know that. Chris Evert, I'm from Fort Lauderdale, and that was where Chris Evert kind of rose up, and I've been to her court where she used to play when she was a teen. But it's just not there. And why is that? You know, why is it cool to watch? And again, I'm going to go with LeBron because it's the only one I know. Shaq. Current players. Kobe Bryant. Is that another one? I really don't know. I'm not big on sports. Um, you know, why is it so cool to see the guys do it, but not so cool to see the girls do it? Is there some sort of element of danger? Are we attracted to danger? I know I watch hockey because I want to see them fight. Okay. I mean, I love the game. Don't understand me, but it's just something about a couple guys getting ready to go in the penalty box, and they throw down their gloves and beat the crap out of each other. Um, you know, um, I'm I'm demented. What can I tell you? You don't have that with women, right? Or football. Um, someone can goof up and uh, I don't know. I'm not very good at football either. I don't know a lot of football terms. Sack the quarterback. I know that one. Okay. The pocket collapses and the other team, sacks the quarterback, and they get mad at each other, and maybe a couple guys from this side, posture, and we crave that fight. There's some kind of a to it, but you don't have that with women, do you? Is there something? I mean, you can. I mean, and please, like I said, this is cookie dough. This is not a well thought out idea. Um, I've seen some IFC fighters, girl fighters, who would totally kick. Number one, they kick my butt. That's easy. I'm a cream puff. But we don't have that experience. Now, I'll rewind that with Danica Kirkpatrick. I remember one race. I don't think it was Kyle Busch. I think it was Kozlowski but she walked down the track just like Jeff Gordon, threw her helmet to the ground, and she was ready to slug with this other driver. Okay. And again, it's you don't hit women. Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? It's like we have that kind of stereotype. A lady versus a gentleman, and we just don't have that. There's some kind of visceral with sports. And so I wonder if there's some sort of compromise, can I say that without offending anyone? For girls' sports. Um, you know, is there some sort of like compromise, like the saying in the movies, which pisses people off? This is a stereotypical this is a reenactment of a stereotypical situation. I don't believe this way. Um, but in the movie, the girl steps up and she hits the ball and it goes out of the park. And the other guys are like, "Oh, that's pretty good, for a girl." You know, it's like there's a diminished expectation because it's women's something or girls something. And I wonder if the people who have a genuine, I hate to say concern, but let's remove the xenophobia from it, have a legitimate concern that here is this bubble, the safety bubble that's been created for girls, and that's under threat, and that's where the trans women, again, as this muscular, and it doesn't exist that way. But I'm wondering if that is the reason. I mean, it's obviously the unfortunate, it's what's being used as somewhat of the reason in a bad way, because there's xenophobia, transphobia, da 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 da. But again, I kind of have to wonder, and I can hear this being so stupid, but it's almost like saying to a woman or a girl who plays a really good game, um, "You're the best. You're a champ. You're the best among other second class people. You know, you're the best woman athlete because women athletes will never be as good as men." I mean, how fucked up is that? And again, there's going to be exceptions. Again, you were talking, what is the sport about? What is the body composition? And doesn't have really anything to do. I mean, it can be, but you know what I mean. I think about the Olympic runners, um, from Africa. These, um, their body fat content is so low, you can see their bones and muscle, and they just fly past American athletes because they're good athletes in that specific niche. And again, I think about, you know, this fallacy of this bubble. I'm going to say basketball. You know, you're the best women's basketball, and we have to keep them separate because we have to have this illusion, you know, and maybe people, um, they don't want that limitation. It's like a governor on an engine. Um, Take the governor off and see how many RPMs you can get, and push yourself to the, past that. And it's almost like putting that W in front of the sport acronym. It's like the kiddie pool or the little kids table, and it shouldn't be that way. But I'm wondering if that mentality just transfers on, you know. And again, I'm not a big sports fan, obviously, but the woman that they interviewed tonight talked about, you have this great competition in the in the girls' side of the NCAA, and great games and competition and challenge and, all this other stuff. and it just does not have the same gravitas, unfortunately. And they showed ESPN coverage of the two events, a girls' match and a boys' match. And the girls' match um, looked like whatever is on the local channel for the high school basketball game. I mean, it was just nothing compared to the boys' March Madness. With they had rows of the graphics and the displays and people in the background, and it was a big event. It was a trying to think of the word for it, spectacle. It was a spectacle. You know what I mean? And you just don't have that. It could be the same. I mean, and again, here's come back to Section 9. Why is the NCAA treating it as two different things? Why not have March Madness be every school, the same treatment? UConn or Gonzaga. I mean, just, again, I think about the UConn girls team and how great they are and everything. And they just don't treat them the same, you know. And I guess I've kind of run out of steam if I ever had any steam built up in the old engine anyway. But it was just something I was curious about. Number one, why is it sports that's like the thing? Okay. And why, again, you have this disparity, and is it, would it be better to not have that disparity? You know, is it, we don't like the fact of a girl and a boy playing on the same team, and I'm probably going to screw this up. They're playing basketball and the girl checks the boy and, uh, you know, an elbow to his ribs, and we don't want to have that physical contact, and then there's a foul shot. I know that happens in basketball. Is it that we don't want to have men and women contacting with each other? um, is it the idea that if we didn't separate them, again, you say, well, stereotypically men have more muscles and everything than women. But can you imagine, you know, having like I said, in the Air Force, man, I've met some girls who would totally kick everybody's ass. This is like Ramirez from Aliens. Amongst all of these male athletes, to have the one, you know, girl who, about. Like I said, I know who Danica Kirkpatrick is because she's a badass racer. Okay. But anyway, food for thought. Like I said, I don't necessarily know if it's a point, but it just, as I was watching the news, I'm like, is there something to this? And maybe how do we address it? And definitely, in the future, the more and more we have non-binary people, um, we really are not going to be able to have boys and girls stuff anymore. We're going to have three things, non-binary, or you know anything goes, and boys and girls. But we're going to have to get used to seeing, some girl break the nose of or like I said, my hockey example, throw down the gloves and throw down the stick, and you know, you're going to see, a lacrosse game, girls lacrosse, get really bloody. Um, but anyway, maybe I have issues. I do have issues. I will be the first to say. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up here, and I wish you all the best of luck. Just kind of food for thought. Think about it. Think about it. Why is it sports? Why not something else? Is this the last thing that we have the division between men and women? Maybe that's it. Everything else has kind of come together. And obviously in the past, you know, and particularly in America, groups that have been marginalized, African Americans. We have a thing now with Asian Americans. It's always been there, but it's prevail. It's on. We're being forced to look at ourselves now. Anyway, all right. Till next time. Good luck. Bye bye.